go, George. We are live.
Good evening, everyone. I hope we're doing all right. Happy Monday. It is Monday, isn't it? Yeah, Monday. We're back at a different time just because I rudely had a social life, so can't be doing that. Yeah, I have just realised that. So obviously, as people know, I can't see, and that don't count for the time check. But I just heard the music for the first time before. It sounds like something out of fucking Waterloo Road. But it's good. I like it. But yeah, so we'll go to my guests. Darren, I hope you're not going to be too miserable about the prawn sandwiches. How you doing, mate?
No comment.
Yeah.
As I say, good evening, fellow Gooners. Good evening, Gaffer.
Evening, mate. Good to have you on. James, good to have you on. How you doing?
I'm all good, thank you. Thanks very much for having me back.
Yeah. You survived your 5 a.m. trip to Lee Sports Village, then?
Yeah, just a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of falling at Piccadilly, but we'll not go
there. Jack, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thanks, George. I mean, I was going to say I was in a decent mood, but I've had to hear for the last few hours since the Edu news. My dad's a Forest supporter, and of course, Edu's running across to Mr. Marinakis and Nottingham Forest, it appears. So I've been hearing plenty about that. But other than that, not too bad.
Yeah, my opinion about that's changed from this morning, so that'll keep you interested. Are Grimsby still in the FA Cup, or are they out and all?
No, we got giant killed. We got giant killed by a non-league team, which I think... yeah, so I had a bad Saturday with the Newcastle game and then a Grimsby giant killing. But yeah, so you...
At least we won in the cricket.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. Although I quite enjoyed watching New Zealand beat India.
Yes, 3-0. That was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was good.
Mighty impressive.
Yeah. And then Mel, how you doing, Captain Mel?
I'm all good. Very sore after my game of football yesterday, but still very much riding on the high of my Scottish Cup win and the fact that I didn't have to watch 90 minutes of Arsenal terror ball. So I can't complain.
Yeah, cool. I haven't forgot anyone, have I?
No, you're all good.
Right, cool. All right, and then obviously thank you to everyone who's watching so far. Dorian will probably be watching. Me, Dorian, Belinda, Michael, and Chris all ended up staying in one and the night before and left the Wetherspoons at 2 a.m. to get up for 7. So watch it. That wasn't it. I actually think I've done shots in the Wetherspoons in both Wetherspoons. So even at 9 a.m. So that was.
I do believe I seen somewhere there was a little the Wetherspoons send the drinks to the table game going. There was something.
Yeah, I will say I did say that I never used to be on shots and stuff like this before I become friends with Mel and Belinda. So just saying, like I had my inner Mel had like she wasn't there, so I had to do something for the team, didn't I? I couldn't let the team down. So right, we'll go on to talking about the home of football. Apparently, Lee Sports Village. I'll come to you, Jack, first. What was your thoughts going into the game? Was you a bit was you confident? Obviously, we had the international break, didn't we? Which I think was quite productive for Arsenal, really.
Yeah, I was relatively optimistic. I mean, I think Man United have surprised quite a few of us this season by the fact that the absolute shit show off the pitch has managed to not really affect much on the pitch so far. But yeah, I thought we put a decent starting 11 out, and I was relatively optimistic. We've had a good track record away from home, in a way, against or against teams that come out and try and play football a bit more, hitting them on the counter attack. And yeah, I'd say for 80-90% of our performance, we were not too bad. So But yeah, I was cautiously optimistic before the game.
Yeah. I thought, to be fair, like, I saw the lineup. I saw. You probably don't want to know what I said when I saw the back four. I was a bit like, I had to kind of put my hand up and say sorry about that. So to be fair, I wouldn't have started Williamson personally. I just don't. I think she's been a bit form has been a bit not that great, but I thought she actually played all right after saying that. Mel,
Her and Steph Catley is a weirdly decent partnership of all things, which I never thought I'd say.
Yeah. Mel, I'll come to you about that with the Williamson and Catley centre half partnership. What's your thoughts on that? Like, I think Kadina got to feel a bit unfortunate. I don't think she's done much wrong, has she?
No, I think when I saw the lineup, I wasn't really shocked to see that Steph was coming in at centre back. But I wouldn't, like you said, I wouldn't have started Leah just on recent performance. Like you say, Kadina's not really put a foot wrong. She's had a couple silly mistakes, but everyone's going to have a couple silly mistakes. It's just a lot easier to pinpoint them when you're a defender. But I don't know if it's a new sort of partnership we're trying to work towards, or if it was a case of get as many of what Renee deems as the strongest players on the pitch going into the Man United game in the hope that we were coming out of it with 3 points. But we'll never know. Apart from the centre-back pairing, I was quite happy with the lineup. It was mostly what I would have chosen.
Yeah, same here, to be fair. James, so we obviously, once again, we saw the Volti and Kim double pivot. Was you happy with that, or would you have liked to have seen like just one?
I've said it now for quite a few weeks, and obviously, as the Scottish, we obviously love seeing our Scottish players being on the pitch, but Kimmy Little's got to be dropped. She's past it now. She's at the point you can see it in her. And I think that yesterday would have been a perfect game for Kavaji. Definitely. But in looking at it, I've said it in a few chats, I don't see, especially over the next 5 games, don't see any sort of real changes happening in terms of the starting lineup. Forward, I think it's going to be, that's her 11, she's going to stick with it.
Yeah. That is breaking news, as James did say, that he is Scottish. I don't know if anyone worked that one out. Just thought I'd clarify. But no, I do. I've been saying for a while that I don't think Kim needs to be playing 90 minutes or 80 minutes week in, week out. I think I've never really liked Arsenal playing a double pivot anyway. I think it's quite defensive. Darren, what do you think about that? Do you agree, or do you think because with the experienced heads need to get us through until we get a new manager that's going to change the way we play?
Well, controversially, I do disagree with some of the points that have been made thus far.
Yeah.
I would have started Leah, and I'm glad they did. I mean, is she out of form, or is she just not playing up to her usual high standards? Because she is a fantastic player, as we all know. For those that watch the Lionesses' performances, I mean, other than a couple of misplaced passes, which are obviously criminal for a central defender, she wasn't too bad. Yesterday against Manchester United, she was good. She didn't put a foot wrong. She played really, really well. She was very assured. We didn't see her normal array of passes over the top, which was quite disappointing. I'll come on to that in a second with what I thought about the forward partnership.
Yeah.
I agree with all your comments about Kim. Unfortunately, she's not a starter in my book anymore. Volti played very well. She was probably the only person within that midfield that was holding it together. Kim just kept going absent. She really did. And it's a horrible thing to say about such a wonderful person, but she just did not have a very good game again. What else have I got? Stats, okay? The stats from yesterday's game, this is what my biggest criticism of the lineup yesterday.
Yeah.
I know not many people like to have Russo up front with Oh my God, I forgot her name. Oh, how embarrassing.
Stina?
Marlon behind her. No,
Oh.
not Stina. Marlon behind her. I really think that Stina and Russo should start more often. Russo is a different player to Stina, so maybe her have a little bit further forward. Or maybe, actually, sorry, the other way around. Have Stina hanging back because she's good with those long balls over and she can run onto him a bit better. Anything that's going into feet, you know, from the midfield, then that's where Russo is more accustomed to back to goal rather than Stina, who likes to run onto the ball. I do think those two should be given an opportunity to start together. And the stats yesterday, this is from the BBC, so hopefully it's reasonably reliable. Shots from Arsenal were 19, and of those, only 4 were on target. And for those who were at the game, those 15 who were off target were pretty tame. You know, they were sometimes nowhere near the post. It's quite shocking the way that they were striking yesterday. And whose fault is that? Well, we all know whose fault that is. We won't say it on this podcast, but we know the reason for that. Other than that, Leah Cadena, going back to the defense, she should have started over. I know Steph Catley's a wonderful player, but she's not a central defender in my book, although she did play well yesterday. So that kind of like contradicts everything I just said. But stick to a partnership, for God's sake, guys. You know, stop messing around. We know Lotta's out at the moment. There's nothing wrong with Leah Cadena, unless she was injured yesterday, which I missed. I don't think she was. But
No.
let's get some kind of partnership at the back. Keep fighting around all the time. It does my bloody head in. Rant over.
Yeah, you might have another one in a minute. There's a couple of things I did there. I'm going to be really controversial. I think when they brought Stina, that cost us the game.
Really?
When they brought her on, yeah. I honestly think. I just think it was Russo. I thought Russo had a really, really good game. She got a goal. I think what a lot of people miss, which is ironic coming from someone who can't see, is the work that she does off the ball, and then she was coming back into midfield.
But then why did we take Russo off? I mean, just
right. I agree.
Stina want to play with her. The substitutions yesterday were baffling, and you know.
No, I agree with that. Like I think one, the subs were done too late.
Absolutely.
But two, I do think if Russo stayed on, I think we may have held on.
The problem with the manager yesterday, with the West Ham game, she was very reactive.
Yeah.
No, my mistake. Sorry, she was very proactive. Yesterday, it was all about reactive. You know, they got that late equaliser, and she thought, "Shit, what can we do? Quick, throw on Rosa, throw on Lena, throw on Stina, or anything, just get me a win." And it didn't work. So she screwed up yesterday, the manager, in my book.
Yeah. One thing, and the other thing I will say that in games, I'll come to you about this, Mel. But in them sort of games, you have those chances. And it was just pass. It was like that perfect goal. Mm-hmm. You have to become more ruthless, don't you, in them sort of games to take your chances?
Yeah, I think when you see it as, like what Dan said, 19 shots and only 4 of them were on target, like with those other 15 shots, you need to be at least attempting to test the keeper. Like, you can't be just taking shots from inside the box and like rolling them at her, or taking them from outside the box and skying them clean over the bar. Like, at that point, you need to really put your foot on the pedal and just start testing the keeper, because the more you hammer balls in at a goalie, they're either going to start spilling them or they're going to misjudge one and you're going to hit the back of the net. And I think that's the thing that we do, is we think, right, we have to start testing the keeper here, but we do it in stupid situations.
Yeah.
Where there is then that obvious pass where somebody's in a bit more space or somebody's in a slightly better position to get a better shot on goal. And I think that's one of the main issues with mindset at the minute, is that even at 1-0 up, when you should really be testing keepers and your defence and like your back four should be solid and you should be doing as much as you can to keep the ball, we seem to panic and think that even at 1-0, with however long was left when United equalised yesterday, that they're like, it's almost like the mindset is they're going to score, and we just start taking stupid shots and doing stupid shit with the ball that we don't need to be doing, rather than controlling the game and playing the game at our pace. It's almost as soon as we score a goal, we're straight away in panic mode, thinking we're still going to lose this, which isn't the Arsenal that we're used to seeing.
No, and like obviously there you have to put your hands up. There was chances that we had that we was unlucky with, or is it? I can't remember the goalkeepers now. Is it Fadish Joyce or something? Made a couple of good saves, but I just don't think creativity, whatever that word is. I always mess that word up. It just wasn't enough ruthlessness from us, Jack, in that situation. What's your thoughts?
No,
I will say I do think Russo probably had her best game of the season.
I do. Yeah, Russo's performance was good, but she's not clinical at all, and I don't think she's ever going to be that clinical striker. I agreed that the midfield didn't work. I thought we had a very mature performance from Leah Volti. I think she's playing quite different to how she has done in previous years. We're not seeing the same turns. She's dropping quite deep, and she is driving with the ball. But I think, yeah, Kim's probably needs taken out of the limelight, resting. Isn't good in. It's hard to say where she is currently in terms of her, because we're seeing her every week. I think a lot of our issues is the fact that we just are not as good as perhaps some people think we are at the moment. I think if you actually go through the team, how many of them players get into the Chelsea team? Probably not as many as we think. And you could almost do the same with the Man City team as well now.
It'd be interesting, Jack. Actually, I'll come to you to that. So I have it at 3 at the minute. How many people would you have?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I have it at 3. But that's.
I think the Chelsea goalkeeper, or either goalkeeper's probably definitely getting in at the moment.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that's going to be a debate for another time.
The ones I've got is Emily Fox.
Yep.
I probably would have Cadente. And
I think I'd go Fox, Caldente, and Leah Volti.
Yeah, they're the 3. It. The 4th one I was like umming and ahhing about was if she's on the top form would have been Williamson but if you're asking me right at this minute, I think they're the only 3. And it's a good point what you think of and what you say, because the others are not. Well, they're not performing to the height, and this is what my argument's been for all the time. And it goes back to manager stuff, and so it falls into this Edu departure that we'll get into a little bit in a while. We need to be bringing people in at the top of the club and the bottom of the club that are going to take us to the next level. Let's be honest, are these other players going to take us to the level of competing to win the title and competing to win the Champions League? Because that's the level that we need to be at Arsenal Football Club. No,
I agree, and I don't think many of these players are at that level. I think football-wise, but also actually mentality-wise, I think we've got a number of players who are slightly weak in mentality as well. Yeah. And I'm not gonna name names on this one, but I just think there are some slightly weaker players in there. Yeah. I think I know there's been a lot said about the Chelsea player who did the Leah Williamson raising the hand. I tell you what, if that was an Arsenal player who had done it the other way, I would absolutely love that.
Well, this is what I was saying.
That is the type of shithousery I want to see from my players, the competitiveness. And I just wonder, we seem to be everyone's friend. We seem to have a lot of popular players, but do we have any absolute cold-blooded killers out there on the pitch?
I don't think Katie McCabe was many people's friends today.
On the topic of conversation of that celebration, though, not to defend Erin Cuthbert, but I will. She put a clip on her Instagram story that apparently it was from the academy goalkeeper that made that save in their training session. She put a clip up, and to be fair, when she saves the goal, she literally does just stick her hand up and tip it over the bar. And that's exactly what Erin did. So not to defend a Chelsea player, but I will come to Erin's defence. There's one time when she's wearing a blue shirt that's not a Scotland top. So
I still remain to be convinced, but I tell you what, I don't hate it. I don't dislike it.
yeah,
I think that competitiveness actually we do need to see more of. That sort of shithousery, bringing back a proper rivalry between the two teams.
Well, my thing with that is, and I'll come to you, James, if someone like Williamson, or choose an example, an Arsenal player did that to a Chelsea or City fan, all the people on social media would be fucking lapping that up massively, wouldn't they? So I don't get, like, you can't get emotional when, if, because I don't think it was to do with Williamson. I think that's just people twisting the discord about it. But if an Arsenal player done that, surely isn't that just how it's...
I get where you're coming. It's definitely all part and parcel of the banter, as it would be said. If that was an Arsenal player, regardless of who it, we've seen it. Use Katie McCabe as an example, and I'll use call it shoulder tackle, if you will, in Williamson yesterday.
Yeah.
If that was the other way around, that was Katie McCabe doing that to one of the Man U players, the full stand would have went up and uproar. Straight away, the chant would be, she'll fight your full team. So we've got, and then you go to social media, and as you say, it's, why is that not red? And it's screaming, we want a 10-game banner for life. Take the football, but you got to like it.
Put it in handcuffs and take it out in a police car.
Exactly. We've got to like it and go. Put it in the perspective. If it's an Arsenal player, opposite way around. And for me, I'd love to see an Arsenal player do the shithousery. Let's go bam them up. But as you say, I'll be honest, I came in and started properly following Arsenal just round about COVID time.
Yeah.
And even ever since then, I've said it to many before, Arsenal is, I get the whole, this is one big club, one big family, but it's too nicey nice. It's, I'm your friend, I'm your best pal, and it's, you're looking for someone there who's just going to turn around and go, do you know what? This ain't good enough. You're gone, you're done. Arsenal just don't have that. It's, you can't do that. That's my friend, basically.
Yeah, they're too nice.
Yeah, I need a Ben White on the pitch, or someone like that.
We need the old Katie McCabe back. The one that just did not care. And if I want that ball, I don't care who you are. If it ends your career or not, I'm taking that ball from you. We're missing that, and I don't know where that's went in the last, from any of the players in the last sort of 60 months.
Do you think that comes from Darren? I'll come to you. Do you think that comes from like the people higher in the club, so like the managers at the time or the coaching stuff? Like, because if you've got someone with quite a lot of passion, surely that feeds through to the players. I'm not discounting that the players are not responsible for that, and let's be honest, they know what it's like to play for Arsenal Football Club. Some of those English players or British players that play there as well. But could they have, I don't know, could they have got stuck in like a rut when it comes to passion and stuff?
Yeah, there is only really Katie out there, isn't it, that seems to have any fire in her belly at times when it comes to having a bit of a get out of my way ruckus type scenario. Yeah. Maybe it has come from the senior leadership. We are Arsenal. This is the way we do things. We're not a red card club, although I tell that to the man sometimes. Do you know what? Actually, I don't think I've ever seen an Arsenal player, and I've only been following the girls for 2.5, 3 seasons. I don't think I've ever seen a red card for us. So we really haven't got that mentality other than Katie, who does get stuck in. But I just wanted to bring a point about what you was talking about our team and who would and would not maybe get into the Chelsea and or Man City team. I think we do our girls a bit of a disjustice when we say there's not too many would get into either of those teams, because on paper, our squad is as strong as anybody in the WSL. anybody, if not stronger than Chelsea, maybe even stronger than Man City on paper. There's just no fire in their belly. And I think Laura actually made a comment that when they all went away on international duty, almost every single one of our girls that was on international duties had an absolute frigging stonker, played their socks off and scored. And they were scoring goals for fun, left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
We come back to Arsenal and we go back to the same old crap. Going back to those stats again, boys and girls, there were 50 touches in the box for Arsenal. 50 touches in the box. And we know most of those was left or right or backward passing. Hardly anything going towards the goal. This all stems, unfortunately, from the management. They need to have a change of approach, which makes one thing, is young Renee the right person for us? Probably not. We all know that she was, she's in the same, she's cut from the same cloth really as Jonas. And we know what happened there. So she's not necessarily the right person for us.
Yeah, that's a cloth that needs washing.
I think so. But I mean, that seems to have gone quiet. I know there's probably lots of stuff going on in the background about who could potentially be the next manager, but it just seems to have gone a little bit quiet of late, doesn't it?
I don't think it's Renee, personally. I think...
I personally hope it's not now. After 2 games watching her in charge, I really hope it's not.
I could see it being the manager from America, is he New York Red Bull, whatever his name, wherever he is. I could, because I think it was Tim saying like in November to end of November time, a lot of other managerial options come available because the season I think finishes, doesn't it? But I don't know enough to say, oh, we shouldn't have him because of what's happened. I'm not going to go into that because I don't know about it, but he did win the league for Man City when he was here. Is he going to want to go from being in the women's game to the men's game and back? I don't know. Mel, I'll come to you. So when it comes to the manager, obviously, if we look at it, let's be honest, Arsenal Football Club generally is in a little bit of a disarray at the moment. Like not something that everyone's got to lose their shit about and say sack the men's manager like they are doing. But obviously, like with Edu leaving today, do you think that has a big impact on the search for a new manager, or do you think that's a bit separate?
I think possibly. I think he has obviously helped with transfers and contracts and stuff with the women's team, but unfortunately for us, I think a lot of the decisions for the women's team come from Claire Peatley.
Yeah.
And like we've said on here numerous times, I think she's somebody that's past their tenure now as well, and that sort of we need a fresh set of eyes in that position, because it seems that it's another person that's at the top of the club that's not willing to bite the bullet and go, you know what, you're not good enough to be here, there's the door. And I think that's one of the things that we're missing. I think that's the sort of like we've been saying, the mentality is just not there. The fight, the drive, like the literal fight isn't there. I think the only time that we've seen anybody look like they were going to cause a ruckus this season so far was Caitlin Ford squaring up to Nick Dock in the Rangers game.
Yeah.
And like that wasn't like a nothing game, but it's not the biggest game we've played. No. It's not the biggest game we're going to play, and it's probably the one where we saw that sort of personality and that mentality coming out of players, and we've not seen it again since. And I think, especially in like Man City games and Chelsea games, and especially the Spurs games, like Katie McCabe, that picture that I always love to post of her literally being held back with her fist cocked back behind her, like she's about to punch Neville in the side of the head. Like that's missing. Like, obviously, I'm not asking them to go out every week and start a physical scrap on the pitch and get sent off and be throwing punches, but I want them to be like coming in for slide tackles in the box and turning around, winning the ball, turn around and just like gearing up the crowd. It feels a bit disjointed from top to bottom at the minute, and I really don't know who to blame, but I can only assume that Edu's going to throw a spanner in the works all over the club with him leaving. But fortunately, that's nothing to do with us, because I simply don't get paid enough money to have that stress on my shoulders.
You never know. It could be you. Could be you. Mel takes over from Edu. I can see it now on Sky Sports WSL. Do you have any comments? Because I know we haven't gone to the comments.
We have a couple.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
Any that are readable?
Nothing not readable so far.
Oh.
Kind of controversial for us.
We're slacking.
Um,
That's because Darren's on the show and not on the comment.
Well, can I pick out one comment, please, Mel?
you can indeed, whilst I read through them.
Our good friend Dorian, he disagrees with the majority of us, and he says that Kim had a very good game yesterday. She was controlling the midfield. She played more passes into the final third yesterday than in the last few games. Okay. Fair enough, Dorian. I mean, we're all entitled to your opinion, but I think you're wrong. I'm joking, mate. I mean, it's a good point. I mean, she did have, I mean, again, it's like Leah Williamson. Are we being overcritical because she's just not playing as good as she normally does? And for some of us, half measures is not enough when it comes to Kim and Leah. It has to be full glass all the time. When there's anything other than that, we kind of like go into a bit of a meltdown over them. So maybe she did have a reasonably good game, but it just wasn't up to her normal standards. That's all I would say.
And what my thing with Kim is not that I thought she was shit yesterday. It's just that she shouldn't. I don't think she, at the time in her career now, I don't think she should be starting every single game, playing most of it. It's about a rotating thing for me with Kim. Like, let's be honest, she probably made Grace Clinton look like Bill Clinton yesterday, so it's fine. But and it's not like what Dorian's saying. It's not. I thought she was decent yesterday, but I'm not saying she's shit because I'm one of her biggest fans. I just think she needs to be rotated in and out sometimes. I don't know if you agree with that, Mel.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I've said it before and I'll say it again. Like, it's all fine and well having a favourite player, but if you can't then hold your favourite player accountable when they've not played to a standard that you know they can, and you can't hold your hands up and be like, right, put them on the bench, take them off the park, then that's when it goes beyond being a fan of the club and it very much becomes a fan of being one person. Because there is some people that you see online that only care about certain players and they want them playing every game and scoring every goal, and God forbid somebody breathes near them, they need taken at the back and shot and stuff like that. It's just, it gets dramatic. But I love Kim. I'll always love Kim. The woman can do no wrong in my eyes, but sometimes she just needs to sit on the bench and just observe. And I think that's one of the main things in women's football at the minute is that people can't hold their hand up and be like, that's my favorite player, but they were absolutely fucking dog shit today.
Yeah. Take that in on what Dorian was saying there about Kim's performance. I wouldn't say yesterday anybody in the team had a bad performance as such. It was just an absolute, for me personally, a sheer lack of drive to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
Going forward, and it was the same old go to one wing, go to the other. To the point, and Laura actually made a point in one of the comments earlier, which I feel as well. We've got to be one of the only fan bases that screams about 100 times a game, shoot, before someone will actually take a shot. There were quite a few times, all right, it may have went over the bar and made it straight to the keeper, but when you've got 10 players in front of you in a game, take a shot, the ball could bounce anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's the big frustration. There's no urgency. And like, take yesterday as the example. We went 1-0 up, and it was like, right, that's it. Let's shut up shop. Whereas talking about Chelsea, Man City, I know we were playing Man U, but if it was another team, we've done it previously, the teams. Even Man U in other games, it's let's go for the kill. Against Everton. No, we're not going to settle for one. 5 going on maybe easy 10, 15. They just want to completely kill a team. Whereas with us, it's we've got 1, we've got 2, it's fine. That's us, we're done for the night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've just seen Mel, I think, is it Dorian said about Palova is in.
Yeah, he said Palova injuries brought this on, it's not through choice, which I agree with, but then we've also signed Kafaji. So we then have that other option. We have that more attacking-minded centre midfielder put on. We have then got Frida. We've got Caldenti that we can pull into the middle. So there is options there. I think at the minute we're just playing with the safer option rather than trying to rock the boat.
I I
Got to
agree
see
with
what can be done.
I agree with Dorian's point, and I don't. So, yeah, all right, we're playing it because his pullover's been injured, but that's just rubbish because it doesn't mean we've got to play a double pivot or to rely with the safe option. Right? If you want to go like that, why don't you just play Leah Volti and then put, I'd say, like Frida as an advanced number 8 and then Cadenti as a 10 or Kafaji? What's the and you got Katrina McCall there, so there is options. But the reason they're playing them two is just because they're going with the safe option because they know Volti and Kim and not very rarely let us down.
Yeah.
And
I think
it's
for example,
safe.
like looking at yesterday as well, now that Steph Catley's back in the squad, we could have bitten the bullet and put Steph Catley out to left back and played Leah and Cody in the middle of the back four. Had Wally as your one CDM, and then had like Katie out on left mid, Caitlin out on right, and then play Manu and Mariona in the middle and see how that works. But I don't think we're willing to take those sort of risks at the minute. I think it's very much the way it comes across to me is like the league's gone, so why risk it?
It's so gone, hasn't it, already? It's so
Which
disappointing.
Isn't a mindset that I would ever thought Arsenal would have, because right now we're battling for third place.
Yeah.
And even then it's going to be an uphill battle if we keep playing the way that we're playing and making the tactical decisions that we're making every week.
Yeah, I
think players have to take some responsibility as well, though, especially around the box, not shooting or not having the drive to go forward. Because I don't think I've ever seen in about the 6 or 7 years I've watched an Arsenal women's team have that same drive to go forward in that same way with the ball under a number of managers. I don't think this is particularly a new problem. I think it's been there for quite a while, and the worry is it's happened under numerous managers and under numerous squads. So,
and then they have got the same person who's in charge of recruitment and all that with Claire Wheatley in that time. So,
what makes me so worried about Edu leaving is the fact that it does leave us with Claire Wheatley, and Claire Wheatley as the sole person to bring in the manager.
Can I ask a question?
I don't agree with what Jack just said there.
No, but can I just ask a question, because I'm a bit virgin with women's football. I know not much about this Claire Wheatley. Why is everybody so against her?
I don't know.
I think it's just another case of somebody that's run their course at the club.
Yeah,
I think she's had, like I say, she just doesn't have. Take Joe Montemuro, for example. There was no, you've done enough, you're not doing enough now, there's the door. It was, we'll let him stay till the end of his contract, and what happens, happens. And it's the same with players as well. It's, they're a fan favourite, we'll give them another year. Not, you're a fan favourite, you're not playing great, we're going to get rid of you before your contract comes out and try and get a bit of money out of you. It's just, we'll drag it out, we'll let them go on the free, we'll see what we can get in on the free, this and that. Like, there's no proactivity in it. It's always, same with the subs yesterday, it's always reactive instead of proactive in like the decisions that are being made. And I think there's only so many times you can point fingers at players and managers before you start looking at the back room staff and going, you've been there long enough. And it's the same shit that's happening time and time again. So maybe you need to go and really shake the tree from the top to see what falls.
I'll say this as well. It's Claire Wheatley's job to sack Jonas.
Yeah.
And there were 2 reasons why Jonas is no longer the manager of Arsenal. The first one is the fact that he actually had a bit of self-respect to leave himself, having realised it wasn't working. Mm-hmm. And the second one is whatever happened between that meeting between him and Edu.
Yeah.
Claire Wheatley, whose job it is to do that, she has had no involvement. If anything, we came out that the club was surprised. If it takes that for it to happen, that suggests real problems at the top. And I think we can all agree, actually, in places, our transfers have been a bit hit and miss.
Mm-hmm.
We've not had a clear plan with what we're doing with them. We're bringing in players I think I'll just say it just very
Yeah.
quickly. We look at the big money we throw at the end of a transfer window. Often on English players who will boost the club's profile. But are they the actual players? Do we have a full scouting work under Claire Wheatley where we're looking at players around Europe and we're bringing in the best in class of young players? I'm not convinced.
So I've got I've got quite a bit to say about this, and it's a very transferable conversation with Arsenal generally. I understand your point there, and don't shoot me down in flames. But couldn't you say the same thing about Edu from the men's game? Like, all right, he brought Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard through, but he also helped to bring in Sambi Lokonga and Raheem Sterling. Like, so what I'm trying to say is, I appreciate what Edu's done at the club, but it's not all. I wouldn't say it's all on Claire Wheatley. Like, I think
I know it's definitely not all Claire Wheatley, but I just think at this point she has to take some. The axe has to fall on her as well. It wasn't all on the manager; it wasn't all on the players.
It does.
But I just.
But when you were saying that when it comes to a manager, that it's just going to be down to Claire Wheatley, I don't agree with that at all, because Arsenal Football Club are not going to say, oh, Edu's resigned to go and, I don't know, cut some trees at Nottingham Forest or whatever he's going to do, and not get someone else in. Like, there's a lot more to this Edu thing than I think people like. Edu was offered the CEO job. He wanted the CEO job earlier in the season at Arsenal. He didn't get it, and now that's potentially what he's getting. So I think there's a lot more to it, and this is what I'm trying to say with Claire Wheatley as well. People like Edu, Claire Wheatley go. Maybe what Arsenal are doing higher up is saying we need to take that further step level higher, and that's not me disrespecting what Edu's done, but I'm sure Edu was there when they employed Jonas, wasn't
he? Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, but so this is all, and I'm not part of the Claire Wheatley Appreciation Society. Like, I'm just saying, like, people saying, "Oh, yeah, it's Claire Wheatley this, Claire Wheatley that." Yeah, she probably has outgrown her position and been there far too long, and we need some fresh blood there. But I think, like, other people have to take responsibility in that. Like, it is a bad thing for Arsenal today with Edu leaving, but it doesn't necessarily need to be. If they do it the right way, like what we've said with the manager, it could help us in the long term going forward. Like, I don't think Arsenal can afford to fuck up the new manager. Like, I just don't think they can, because I think a lot with our recruitment as well, we buy players that put bums on seats. So obviously, like, you look at the amount of lionesses we've got, and Cadenti's an amazing player, but she enough be a money spinner for that football club as well. That's my rant. So there you go.
I think the problem with Caldente is she's too good for our squad. She's so far ahead of all her other guys. They don't even know what she's going to do half the time. She knows what she's going to do, but they're not in a position for her to make it work. Yesterday at Man United, wow, my jaw dropped so many times. I was like, wow, amazing. Some of the stuff that she was doing was extraordinary. But our players some of our players are not up to the same level as her, sadly. Doesn't bring the best out of her.
Yeah.
So I will say, when it comes to the whole doing Claire Wheatley thing, I've asked it for a long time. How much of an involvement do they have in saying who comes into the squad? Because to me, fundamentally, if you're buying a player for that squad, surely it's got to be the manager who makes the decision on, I want this player. I get all managers will have their free lists. Their wildest dream, they're more realistic, and they're, I can do something with. But to me, they're bringing in players, as you say, Mariona. We were willing, when we got Russell, we were willing to spend upwards of £1 million on her. And the big thing is it really players that the manager at the time wants? Because if not, we're then bringing in a group of players and the manager's going, this is my style, and all the players go, that's
Yeah.
not, I can't play that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. I just think we have to, like, there's more than, when it comes to this, like with the women's team, there's more than, like, the manager is to blame. The players have to take responsibility. Obviously, Claire Wheatley does because of it. Recruitment. I'm not sure who said it in the chat, but Sam, when we said we focused on Kira Walsh or someone, it just threw us off. I agree with that. But that comes from. Okay, yeah, and I really agree with that because I think all they focus on was like, oh, Kira Walsh. And because Barcelona was focusing on getting the one from, from Man City, I think because if that deal went through, I think Kira Walsh would have been at Arsenal. But then that's all we really heard was about Kira Walsh. But I feel like we needed more than Kira Walsh.
Yeah, and it comes across like we never really had a backup plan. It was always like Kira Walsh.
Or nothing.
Right, she's not coming. Fuck, who do we take in instead?
And I've been saying, Mel, as well. I was saying this to Sam. How comes you see people like Chelsea are getting players coming through, and they're like, say, from the German second division, and they're actually really good players, and they're up. Do you know what I mean? So where's the scouting? So surely that comes from higher up. I don't know who's in charge of scouting. I don't know if that's Wheatley, but do you know what I mean? I think is it Muskin, the midfielder? Didn't she come from like, I can't remember now, like a German second league team, or even like people like Ramirez and. I don't know if it's coming across what I mean. Like, you don't see Arsenal buying those type of players, do you?
Yeah, it's almost like we have to go for a household name or somebody that they know they're going to get the money from the shirts from, rather than somebody like a Ramirez or a Noonskin, like not a well-known player that's going to come into the squad and make a difference and then become like a household brand.
Yep. I completely agree with that, and that's what I've said when it comes to Arsenal women's next manager. We need someone who knows the women's game on an international level, who can come around, as you say, go to all these countries where even to use, I don't like using the men, but I'll use the men as an example. Tottenham's current manager, Ange Postecoglou, as Mel will know fine well, done it at Celtic, brought in a lot of players from all over Asia, Japan, everything, and all many teams, even myself, we're all sitting going, yeah, right, you're fighting relegation come Christmas, and literally just to this day, they're still at Celtic storming it, and there's players that no one knows, and that's what we need, is someone who can walk in, as you say, German second division, French amateur league, and go, you know what, they're a decent player, I'll take you, man.
Yeah, no, like what as an example I gave yesterday was Arsenal Football Club need to be going around looking at players. Like, we shouldn't be our transfer targets. You got is it Linda Caicedo at Real Madrid?
Yeah,
Real Madrid are like, I don't, if they get knocked out of Champions League, why are Arsenal not looking at that? Looking at her, but at the minute we've got more chance of signing Chloe Kelly. Let's be real.
I'll tell you why, though, George, because Arsenal are the absolute masters, and I think this comes from the owners of doing very little in the transfer window and either bringing in a player with high publicity or putting in a high-profile bid in order to distract everyone from the end and make it look like they tried. Yeah, maybe that's just a cynic in me, but I think they're one of the greatest. They're one of the greatest marketing companies that there is. They are absolutely incredible at doing marketing, and I think the issue is that that's not always the best player for the club. Perhaps we'd be better off having a manager who got given the full reins, rather than even bothering necessarily with a director of football altogether, and just use the same director of football that the men have got if the manager needs to be sacked, and then give a manager the free range. There'd be a lot of top-class managers around Europe who would quite fancy that. because it's becoming rarer and rarer in football. Implement your ideas, implement your way of playing, bring in the players you want to bring in, and try that. And I'll tell you what, it's something different as well compared to what other teams are doing.
Yeah, no, I agree. We could talk about this all night, though, to be fair, couldn't we? But yeah,
and could not agree more.
what did Laura say?
Laura's comment said, the thing is what household name is going. I don't know.
The thing is, what household name is going?
That's a very good impression.
I'm just
got that.
So
You got that off to a T, James. There.
But she's right in what she says, though, isn't she? She's absolutely right. And we're
Yeah.
sitting 6th in the league right now. 7 points behind Man City, played the same number of games. What was it? We are 6 behind Chelsea. They've got a game in hand. And we're even behind Man United by 2 points, I think. And they've got a game in hand.
Don't forget Brighton, mate.
I don't care about Brighton.
You might not be staying out on Friday.
Well, yeah, okay, fair enough. I mean, oh my God, if we turn up at Emirates on Friday and we get a shit performance against Brighton, I will lose my shit on Monday's show next week.
Cool,
Come on.
we'll get you on.
I think we can all agree on, Joel. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
The season, after 6 games, the season's already frigging gone, hasn't it? We're now just hoping we get a good cup run in one of the bigger competitions, not the League Cup, Conti Cup, whatever it's called now. We need to focus our energies on finishing in a European place in the league. As Mel said earlier on, we're going for 3rd now, nothing else. And then we need to do our damnedest to get as far as we can, if not win the Champions League, or get the FA Cup. The Conti Cup, that's Mickey Mouse. Don't care about that one. We're on
that now, but when we score a last-minute winner to win it again,
we'll be going mad. I know, but we'll be there.
You need to have someone to cheer about. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd cheer for a big silver dinner plate at this rate. Do you know what I mean?
I've already said my dibs is on the flower vases. We're going for it.
Oh, sorry, Dorian, we're 5th. I thought we were 6th. My mistake.
Yeah, it's one. We're instead of going for Conference League, we're going for Europa. Yeah, brilliant. So, but apart from that, I think there is a lot that can change at the club. I think, but that's probably for another show. As Darren said, we do have Brighton on Friday. I won't be there, but I'm sure Darren can take his prawn sandwiches and his megaphone. I know you're not allowed that anymore, yeah.
No, that was confiscated. Well, not confiscated. Terry got told to put it away, didn't he? So we can forget that. We forget. Well, friggin' hell, we've been 54 minutes and we've not mentioned the atmosphere yet, so we've done well.
To be fair, I thought it was so obviously an honourable mention to Laura was with the atmosphere. It was okay where we was a little bit, but there was people around us that wanted us to sit down, or we were too loud. I think that was a comment.
That's Block 10 vibes all over.
Yeah,
so I don't want to be too controversial about the atmosphere, but I was a little bit pissed off being pushed into the corner at Lee Valley Sports Ground, whatever the crap it's called. So I looked behind me and there was quite a few seats at the back. So I went to the back of the stadium.
Yeah.
And whilst you guys there, you're saying the atmosphere, Dorian and somebody else have said the atmosphere was actually not bad because you're in amongst it. Your little group of you, and then across the road there was Joe and Harriet and Lucy, the sisters, giving it loads. But actually, when you're at the back and you're looking down, you can't hear a damn thing. And during the LA, you see about 20 scarves. Nobody gives a damn. It was shit.
Was you the one banning on the
mad? I'm not going to go mad.
Was it you banning on the stand, or was that?
There's been another chap, and also my brother was there. He was also banging.
Yeah, so we could hear. I could hear that. So that was quite. I like that though. To be fair.
Being honest, with the atmosphere yesterday, I was from an away perspective for us. I was expecting more.
Yeah.
But that being said, I'm going to be super critical with the team when they're calling on us, kind of thing. there was that period. It was around, hard to tell because there isn't a clock. But it was around the 35-minute-ish mark to around about the 40th, where the full stadium went silent.
Yeah.
Hear a pin drop. Because again, there's nothing on the park. And again, it is the same. Like there was Marcel's, there was George, there was Nat and stuff at the side.
Yeah.
We're all giving it everything we've got. And then you're looking on the pitch and you're going, give us something. 35 minutes in, I'll be honest, I was actually sitting there going, Kavaji and Cena, we need something with a bit of pace and a bit of urgency to drive something. I think at one point we actually started cheering because the linesman went and actually gave a decision in our favour.
Yeah, that was quite fun.
That was about as exciting as the first half got.
Yeah, I at one stage, Mel, you'll appreciate this. I felt like an honourable Scotsman. I was surrounded by all of them.
Wow.
I just felt like every time I turned around to listen to someone, it was a Scottish accent.
Because we were right behind you.
But just like then someone in the front had a Scottish accent. You guys were behind me. I thought like I don't know, like am I in Scotland or am I in Leeds Sports Village? But yeah, it was good. To be fair.
I think every time we get pushed into a seated area, an away ground, it sucks the life out of us. I mean,
It's just like because we have only a few people, like not in a rude way, but it needs a lot more people to be a bit louder, but you have the usual suspects that do it, and then when people get a bit split up, it just sounds a bit different as well. So,
and it doesn't help when you're being told to shut the up, which was unbelievable, really.
yeah, I can't wait for someone to tell me that again. So, because someone actually at the Emirates told my friend Ben to tell me to sit down because they couldn't see.
Did you not get told that yesterday as well?
Yeah, I think so.
You should just turn around and be like, "Welcome to my life."
I just turned around and went, okay, and still stood up. So
there was a group of girls in front of us, and you were standing up at one point, and I'm sure I heard somebody turn around and go, just tell him to sit down. It's okay. He can't see you there anyway. It was we get obviously, like I said, me and Laura made fun of her hearing. You do it with obviously.
That was my friend.
But it's like you do get the ones as well, and it was like sheer shock on some of their faces. Even one of the girls that get told to say it to you is like, "What do you mean? What do you mean he can't see?" I don't know. That side of you had to actually explain to them what was going on.
Yeah, that was my friend Ian. For those who know him, he brings his children, but he's got quite a good sense of humour. So they said to him, about me sitting down, and she was like, he was like, just tell him he's blind anyway. And apparently the look on her face was like she just didn't get it. So yeah,
face was a picture.
Yeah, it was quite funny. So yeah, but anyway. We'll end the show there on that note. Just want to say thank you to my guest, Darren. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, George. Thank you.
I will see you in Italy, I think.
Yep, see you there.
Yeah. James, thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me. Always a pleasure.
And HD with Laura as well. So thanks for that.
Making an honourable mention.
Yeah. Jack, thank you for coming on. I know you had
to.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, Jack, he's gone. So we'll say thank you to him another time. Mel, thank you again, as always.
No problem. Thank you for having me back again to drop some F-bombs on the channel.
Yeah, that's what we need to get some subscribers up. So yeah, and thank you to everyone who joined in the chat and all your comments. They're really, really great. Appreciate them. Yeah, like we said, please remember, hit that like button, share, subscribe. We potentially will, hopefully be back on Thursday to do a preview of the Brighton game. So keep tuned and come on, you Gunners.